because I actually want to like capture this, but I feel an incredible amount of joy when I think about just everything that I've gotten to, that I've been able to like check off, for the 34th year, you know. I've been inventive, I've been solution oriented, all these blah 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 blah, all these things, that are just like so boring and so mundane and everyday. But I think that's so important. And just a moment ago, earlier, when I told you that I was thinking about like this video that I wanted to film for my birthday and everything, I was thinking about old age. And I was thinking about how old age is a binary experience. This is sort of what I'm assessing and thinking about. And maybe at some point my perspective might, become more nuanced. But what I understand now is that old age is a binary experience, and that you're either happy with old age or you're unhappy with old age, or you're either unhappy or happy with old age, right? It's just, it's that, and I've met people who entered into old age and were unhappy, and they came across as like the people who were just like, get off my lawn, and mean and really sinister and cynical and rude and just miserable old people. And you're just like, oh my gosh, like there's just nothing that you can say to like lighten the room for them, or just, add joy to them, because they're just angry every day. And that I've experienced that, and I've met people that are like that. But then there's the complete other side of that binary experience, the other side, the other side of the toggle, where you're happy, where like the older you are, the happier you are. And that happiness comes from a place of just like satisfaction, and the internal, the mirror, like looking in the internal mirror of who you are and everything that you wanted to be and achieve, and how good and pure that you wanted to be. Looking into that mirror, like the answers are positive and you just feel so good. That is the definition or the experience of like getting happier in old age, being happy in old age. And that was my reflection, is that we are like right now, the present version of ourselves is accountable to the oldest version of ourselves, and vice versa. And it's like, when you get older, you look back, you look at life, and you look at the things that you've accomplished, to be able to say, I was as good of a person as I ever aspired to be. I was, faithful to the values and the things and the I served, I lived, I expressed, I distributed goodness in all the ways that I ever desired to be able to say that. And I followed through, and I accomplished the things that I aimed to, and the things that I knew I had to and must have and had to do. When you look back and the answer to all those questions and all those things are positive, it's a happiness, because it's a satisfaction with the self. It's satisfaction with past decisions. It's satisfaction with how much time and how much energy and how many times you tried and how many times you learned and what you accomplished, and how just all of it. It's a satisfaction with the outcome and the effort that was put out. And so, that's what it means, like, to be happy in old age. And I've had this conviction, and I'm so thankful that from the time I was a child, I grasped this, that I was accountable to the oldest version of me. That the younger you are, you're accountable to the oldest version of you. And maybe there's some revelation I'll have as I get older about how it's like vice versa too, perhaps. I can't wrap my mind around that now. But I just like basically like tying loose ends on your like earliest ambitions, like being faithful to that younger self, or your earliest questions, answering the questions that you had earlier on, and that sort of thing. And I suspect that I'll have some revelation about that when I get older. But right now, like at this age, I'm turning 35 tomorrow. I feel happy just reflecting on like my whole life up to this point. And that is, people give you gifts, right? Physical gifts on your birthday, but being able to look back and like, and feel happy about what you've done, that is the gift that you give to yourself. That's the gift that only you can give to yourself. Nobody can give you the gift of self-satisfaction, of self actualization, of self respect and peace and joy and like certain things that of a good conscience. Nobody can give you a good conscience. A good conscience, a happy conscience. I think that was the language I was looking for. Nobody can give you a happy conscience than you yourself. And I look back on these last, my prior lifetime, and I do feel like I've given myself, and I give myself a happy conscience. I look at everything. I've had a lot of challenges. I've had a lot of, surprises and challenges and things like that. But I look back and I feel, the satisfaction of a good conscience, that the entire time, no matter what challenge I was going through, I was always trying to do my best. And I defined my best as being my most intelligent and my most good, like towards like in terms of like my heart of hearts, like my first intention, my first desire was always to just be whole and pure. Purity has been like my guiding principle, like to be untainted by any other ideas other than like goodness. And that has informed like the way I look at the world, like my ability to believe in positive outcomes and solutions and goodness of people, like being able to see the goodness in people. All of that has just been like my guiding principle. And so looking back on the last 34 years, because I do feel like 35 is like a breakthrough year, like in the sense that, in just the same way that 25 is. It's like you're 5 years away from, 30 at 25, and you're 5 years away from 40, at 35. And those are big years. So I'm like right in between. I'm still experiencing the 30s, but I'm with that awareness, with an acute awareness that I'm close to 40. So it's like, at some point I'll be 40, and soon, in 5 years. And then, somewhere before or right after that, I'll see my first white hair grow from my head and all these things. And the reason why I have respect and honor inwardly is that I have always known, and that I can like say within myself and like actually have it be true, that I've always known like the whole purpose for my existence. Like I exist so that this country, these people that I love, like experience like an entire transformation. You know what I mean? Like I've always known that to be like my whole like equation, my whole thing. That's my whole deal. And everything that I've tried to do in life was like towards that. So I feel really, when I think about 35 and I think about the last 35 years, I feel proud of the potential. You can only be really proud of the potential, I guess. And the reason why I say that is because like, the president is always calling for improvement, but when you feel like proud, it's like I'm able to envision the future, and that makes me feel incredibly proud, and in the sense that I'm like excited. It's not like a parked pride where I'm like, oh, I'm proud of what was. No, I'm proud to have the perspective. I'm proud to have the vision and the ability to see forward, you know. So looking back at all those years, this past year I would say has been like my most productive year. Like in a short time span, I've accomplished the most, I think, in my entire lifetime. And that has been because of two things, and not two different things, but like a phase of things. The first phase of that has been like all the experiences and all the things that I've learned that have allowed me to then be able to do the things that I'm able to do in a short time. You know, all that training, all that life training from like 0 to 34. But then also looking at the 34th year, it's been like the combination of our life and like the stability that we have, you know, being able to like have you is just, you know, so stable, and it's like my place. You're my home. You're my place where I can talk to you, and you tell me not what I yearn to hear, what I want to hear, but you tell me what is like actually real, and like what's actually going on, and what I actually need to consider, and what the things that I actually need to be aware of, and the perspectives that are actually in the world. Like you keep me aware of like the current landscape. And it's so helpful for an imaginative person like me to have you able to just like shining light and like helping me see like just the path for what it is. I appreciate your, you know, calling out things and calling me to attention about things. I'm just so grateful. And our relationship is more than that. Still, it's home. It's having my person that I know, like, you know, knows my whole backstory and can talk to, you know, there's just that, you know, there's like, you know, and you're safe, and our home, I get to come home, and you've done the greatest thing for me, and like, and you continue to do this where I come home and I don't have to be a traditional wife or girl or woman or anything. I don't have to do any of that, you know. And I think a lot of women are you know, until they choose not to be, have to be like, you know, are limited into those certain frames that are very constricting. Like, oh, you have to come home and cook, or, you know, you have to come home and clean, and you have to come home and raise the kids and do all this stuff. But in our relationship, I know no such chains. I don't know what the dangling of those chains even feel like or sound like. I get to come home and go straight into my passion zone. You feed me. You make sure that I don't. You feed me. You make sure that I eat. You know, when I just, you know, because otherwise I just like get lost in my work, and I just go so deep in my work that I'm not thinking about anything else. And then here you are, you know, bringing me a tray and standing in front of me with just the most beautifully and thoughtfully decorated tray of food, and you feed me. And I know love through just us, through you know, our relationship. I experience like being cared for and empowered. You know, and empowerment isn't just saying, you can do it and all this stuff. Empowerment is standing in front of me with a tray of food that looks beautiful and smells great. And it empowers me, my body, to like continue the work. And I'm so thankful. So yes, I mean, I feel like most particularly this past year has been like really, really, really special. Because it was like work-wise and like in terms of accomplishments and life things, you know, these last 365 days plus, or a year and a half, actually, we could say now, was when I, registered the space ticketing web address and the music ticketing web address and created the affluent namespace inside of, the blockchain web domain world and Web3. I mean, this was the year I did that, and even though the world has yet to understand what that is and what it means, I feel like the child inside of me is like giddy, but not only giddy, but also just like, yeah, so what? I actually knew you were going to do that all along. I actually knew that was you all along. Like, I'm not discovering any new thing in me by doing this. I'm just like being consistent with like the kid that's always just had a bigger world. And so this is my birthday, but it's also a day of acknowledging and inwardly celebrating and really looking in and looking out and looking forward at just how great our life is.